I know you've got some tips for small businesses as well. It kind of your first year in business has brought some challenges, and you shared some really interesting tips on your blog the other day about tips for new businesses starting, where people can kind of go wrong. I found them really helpful, so I just wondered if you'd share with the audience.
Yeah, I think I came up with 5 tips. I think I could have written about 20. But I think one of the things I found with my business was I didn't get help for it quick enough. So because I've worked with new businesses for a very long time, I thought I knew it all, to be honest. You know, you think I can do that. When you actually go and do it yourself, it's a completely different world.
Definitely.
And certainly from at the start, I would say 90% of my time was taken up not doing accountancy.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you haven't got the clients,
Yeah.
but you've got to do something to promote your business and all of that. So the first thing, took me about 6 months to realise it actually, was to get some help.
Yeah.
So I took on a business mentor.
Okay.
And she has been fantastic. Basically teaching me how to get my business out into the world.
Yeah.
I relied a lot on client referrals, kind of friends referrals, and that dries up after a little while, so you just don't know anybody else. So you've got to get your name out there.
Yeah.
And I have found that getting help from somebody who's been there, done it, you can get them industry specific, so you can get ones for landlords.
I have a mentor from an estate agency group, and yes, I'm mentored by a specific letting agency expert who's had years in the business, made some mistakes along the way, kind of points me away from those mistakes. So 100%.
Well, that's what I like, that they have done it.
Yeah.
And they've made every mistake you can think of. And they're prepared to admit they've made that mistake as well.
It's the first thing he said to me.
Yeah, so you've got to be prepared to admit it.
Yeah.
So that was my sort of first hint or first tip for a new business: get some help.
Definitely.
Use your friends and use social media is another big one. Social media is massive.
Yeah.
And used correctly, it's actually really cheap.
Yeah.
So you can get your name out there through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all of those projects, which I personally don't understand. But Facebook and LinkedIn are the two that I use.
Okay.
And I will try to expand on that. You've got to use them.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to have a plan for using social media.
Okay.
It's the biggest marketing platform you can possibly have. If you don't understand how to use it, and I didn't, I've never been on Facebook personally. I've been on LinkedIn for donkey's years and never used it.
Yeah.
I went on a few training courses, a few little 2-hour workshops that just explained the workings of them and how to maximise your presence on those. I haven't got it perfect, I definitely haven't got it perfect, but that really taught me that this is how you've got to go. You've got to use social media to do things. Otherwise your business is really going to struggle.
Yeah, so use that platform that kind of everyone's on to get your name out there.
Yeah, so you can use what they call a broadcast method, which is basically just putting your name out there. You put it on Facebook, you put it on LinkedIn, and you broadcast a wide message to everybody, which is basically, here I am, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is why I'm different maybe, that kind of thing. You then have specific promotions, which is where I haven't quite picked up how to do this yet, but you have specific promotions where you say, right, this is a definite, I'm doing this, and I'm targeting a specific audience, and that's when you get your paid for advertising and that kind of thing in.
Right.
And that's something that I've got to help with, or get help with, because I don't understand it.
But I remember you said as well that the first year in business you believe is probably the hardest year.
It is.
So many businesses struggle in that first year.
Yeah, you've got several reasons why you struggle. The obvious one is financial.
Yeah.
Very few, unless you're extremely lucky, very few businesses start off and take off like that. I think anybody who says they made £1 million overnight is a liar, to be
Unless
honest.
they won the lottery.
Unless they won the lottery, I just don't believe it. You have to work really hard.
Yeah.
The hours are long.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is ironic because sometimes you feel like you start your own business to choose your own hours,
Yes.
and you might still choose them to a certain extent, but I've never worked more hours in my life.
yeah. You find you're working on things you have no idea about, and that's sort of often the difficult bit. I mean, I can do accounts
Yeah,
and tax and all of that. I can do all that. Running a business,
yeah.
because you're not an accountant,
Mhm.
as I said, probably 80-90% of my first year has been spent not doing accounts,
Yeah,
and you have to learn all of that,
yeah,
and that's what takes all the time.
yeah. You've got to wear all the different hats that a business structure involves yourself.
Yeah, and that's really hard. I say the financial impact
Yeah.
is massive, the time impact is massive,
Mhm.
the learning impact is massive. You do have loads and loads of doubts
Yeah.
all the way through. I've been going a year. Even last month, I was thinking, God, this is really difficult.
Yeah. It's hard.
But it's also fun.
Yeah.
Learning all of that stuff is fun.
Yeah.
I've learned so much that I didn't know. I can now do things that I never thought I would be able to do,
Yeah.
and that's really fun.
Yeah.
And when you have a success, when I get a new client,
Yeah.
brilliant. That's
It's
absolutely-
rewarding
it's
for
so,
you.
yeah, and you feel so good. And when I help a client, I've helped a client, I've done it,
Yeah.
and that is so rewarding,
Yeah.
and that's what keeps you going.
Yeah.
Really, you make tons of mistakes in your first year. I put that I've paid people to do stuff for me that were a complete waste of time.
Right.
And the
So
reason-
would you say kind of try and learn to do stuff yourself as much as you can?
that's definitely what I've tried to do. I made the mistake of paying people to do stuff for me, particularly on advertising and stuff.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't really know the person,
Okay.
and that person didn't know me. So
Yeah.
the message they were putting out was not my message.
Right.
They were basically selling an accountant,
Right.
and that's not the image that I want to portray. So the wrong message was going out. So what I decided to do was learn how to do all of this.
Yeah.
So that, first of all, I understood the message I want to put out.
Yeah.
Secondly, I knew what was involved, even if I didn't want to do it myself. Writing an advert, not really my strength. I can't really do it. So I will still pay people to write the message for me.
So a copywriter.
A copywriter
Yeah.
or something, or I'm going to use I'm using a social media agency, but that social media agency is somebody I've dealt with for 9-10 months
Yeah.
before I've actually taken them on.
Right.
So they know me,
Yes.
I know them, they know the message I want to put out, and I
Yeah.
know that they can do it.
Yeah. And it's that trust element as
Yeah.
well, because how can you do business well with somebody if you don't trust them and they don't know you?
Yeah.
So there's that personal touch to it. They get you.
So so what I've done now is, first of all, I learned how to do it. So if somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, I'll do this for you," and it costs 500 quid,
Mm.
I know that's 10 minutes worth of work,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to pay you £500 to do
Yeah.
it. So I think learning it yourself, even if you're never going to actually do it yourself, is very important.
Yeah.
I did the same with my website. I actually built my website myself with help.
Yeah.
So I will have to go to a website provider in the end, but if they say that's going to cost you thousands and thousands of pounds and this much a year, okay. No,
Yeah.
because I know it doesn't involve as much as that. So,
Yeah.
so getting to
Taking the mystery out of it a little
Yeah.
bit.
so getting to know the people I'm going to work with is vital,
Yeah.
and I'd recommend that to anybody.
Yes.
Get to know the person first before you use their services, because they must understand your message.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they're not gonna. They can put anything they like out there. The clients that are going to come back to me, if there were any, are not going to be ones that suit me, because
No.
they've not bought me. They're just looking for
That's it.
whatever that advert said,
Yeah.
and that's
yeah.
not right.
No.
So I definitely learn it, and learn about the people you're going to work with.
Yeah.
You have to trust them, and they have to know you.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess I can add from personal experience that starting a new business is hard, and going it alone is really hard. So to just, I think, a little bit of resilience as well.
Yes.
To just get your elephant hide skin on, and just tough it out.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be times when it's the most challenging thing you've ever done.
Yes.
But it's deeply rewarding, I think.
I think so. Well, I think definitely you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to acknowledge your mistakes and think, what did I do wrong? Admit that you've done it wrong, and learn and go, I'm not doing that again. But equally, don't beat yourself up about a mistake.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. I've learned loads in the first year, and I'm still going to make loads of mistakes in the second year.
Yeah.
You just have to know that you've done it wrong,
Yeah.
and go, right, well, I've done it wrong, I won't do it again.
Move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.